We started going live.
All right. Welcome to a special impromptu Free Assange Vigil. Uh, we are going to be live streaming throughout the day to cover both the protests against war in Iran and how that relates to the freedom of Julian Assange that we are all fighting for. Real quick off the top, my name is Steve Boykin, and I'm joined by my co-host Andrew Smith. We're on day 297 of incarceration for Chelsea Manning with $188,000 in fines. And we are staring down the barrel of a possible open war with Iran. There are protests being held throughout the country today. One by Code Pink and by other groups. I will be down in either Santa Cruz or San Jose this afternoon to cover that. We will be back in about a little while,
About an hour or so.
about an
Probably
hour
around 3 o'clock Eastern.
with Kendra from Free Assange Denver, who is at a Code Pink protest. She will be letting us know what's going on there. And we would really appreciate you guys' support on the streams. If you can't make it to an event, if you can't make yourself the event, please tune in and check in with us. And we will be, when we're back, we will have a ton of relevant links, both from WikiLeaks and other organizations, about how this shit show in Iran has been manufactured. Andrew?
And this is a great day for people to actually get out and start removing some of that internal predisposition to not acting against injustice that Julian talks about, because this is a literal war. Like, activism done today is in the name of stopping another imperialist war that's happening. We just assassinated someone who could be considered like the vice president or secretary of state of Iran, and at this point there's really no option except for it to go hot unless we can get some kind of mass mobilization of people on the streets, because this is literally what they've been planning for the last 2 decades now. So
this is something we're going to get into.
Talk to people, find community events. Even if you're just walking around local newspapers, hanging up signs that say no war with Iran, that still helps to localize an issue. So that way they can talk about that in a way that is presented to people about someone locally trying to stop this from happening. So anything you can do today, whether it's at a big event or personally, would make a huge difference in the total impact of stopping this war.
If you can't get yourself out of your house, please go to WikiLeaks, type in Iran and destabilization, type in Project for a New American Century. This is what's happening right now is the culmination of 70 years of effort for U.S. control in the region. In 1954, the CIA helped overthrow the democratically elected president of Iran, which kicked off multiple generations of brutality. We've got Wesley Clark on video in 2005 listing off Iran as the crowning jewel in the crown of U.S. imperialism. None of this is new. And I know that Medea Benjamin and Code Pink is wonderful at work as they're doing, are running around blaming Donald Trump specifically for this. This landed into Donald Trump's lap, and destabilizing Iran was on the menu no matter who got elected.
And honestly,
so what we're really,
I was just going to say, for all the Trump supporters out there, if you think this is some kind of like function of the deep state or some neoliberal cabal agenda trying to trick Trump into going to war, that's a reason to get in the streets and try to say no war with Iran at the same exact time, because that's a core piece of Trump's base is anti-war activists on the right. And make your voice heard for him. Stand up so that way he hears you as well saying no war with Iran, because it's not just a Trump thing. This wasn't an Obama thing. This goes back before any of us were even really alive. So that's something that's important to keep in mind.
And specifically, the spear was really sharpened in 1998 with the formation of Project for a New American Century, and we can discuss some of that throughout the course of the day. John Bolton is kind of taking a victory lap over this right now too. And the Bolton group, Bolton's political action committee, has a document that I'll make available on the next live stream for how to manufacture consent for wars and how to manipulate the public. This is a multifaceted dumpster fire with some real serious implications. A hot war in Iran would require like 1 million US soldiers on the ground in order to be able to take and secure and hold any part of that country. We've got a total of 1.2 million active duty soldiers.
And
They're
Saudi
not
Arabia
all
is
going
willing
to
to
get
fight.
shipped to Iran.
Saudi Arabia is willing to fight to the last dead American to invade Iran too. So it's something that we're fighting
Absolutely.
for the oil barons on behest of a literal genocidal nation that executes people in the street for sorcery, witchcraft, and apostatism. Like, these aren't our allies. These people own us financially and own us through the oil trade, and we're doing their bidding to preserve the petrodollar. That's all this.
And we're also doing Israel's bidding in this as well.
Mhm.
The Israel and Iran have been openly hostile towards each other for 50, 60 years. Israel has been operating in Iraq without telling anyone. There's a Newsweek article that I'll try to find in between live streams, but buried very deep in it is the admission that Israel was operating in Iraq leading up to the Iraqi citizens going after the US Embassy a few days ago, which of course was in retaliation for the way that we have just torn apart the fucking region.
And then
It
bomb the
was
country
blamed
and
on
killed Iraqi
Hezbollah.
civilians. That's what triggered the embassy
Yeah.
protest, I believe, was literal just random American US aggression that killed Iraqi civilians. Again.
And then it was blamed on Hezbollah and by proxy Iran. Iran's military general, that Soleimani, that we just murdered by drone, was in Iraq. We have no business being in Iraq, let alone killing someone from another country who is in a country that we're not supposed to be in. But
Right.
this is being celebrated by MAGA hats and pussy hats alike. The uniformity
It
that these people
shows
drop to their knees to praise war.
it shows the quality that they have right now and the control with their counter-reinforcing propaganda. Because whether you're a Russiagator or a QAnoner, both sides are supporting war with Iran right now. Because Daddy Trump's doing it, or Iran is an ally with Russia, right? So it's just a matter of what propaganda are you being fed by the mainstream talking point psyop outlets, and like, just break the cycle. Like, we don't need to go to war with Iran. This is a literal another billionaires war to expand the US empire and gain larger control over a region for our geopolitical interests and our ability to sell oil. Like, that's all this war is about, and anything else is just a complete lie.
Well, and there's a bunch of other things too. Iran has rare earth minerals. Iran has lithium. Iran has a lot of raw material. Iran is a huge country. Like, people don't realize how fucking big Iran actually is, or that all of the border lines for it were arbitrarily drawn by the Brits about 100 years ago. Of course, it's always going to be more complex than it's just the oil, but 9 times out of 10, you can point to natural resources and the acquisition of by any means necessary as why the U.S. is involved in a country that they have no fucking business being in the first place.
But I got to get going. And we will be back here in probably about hour and a half-ish once we get some word from Kendra and get that set up. So cool.
So if you're in the chat right now and you're watching, I see there's some questions. We will take those in an hour and a half. In that ensuing hour and a half, please let people know that we're going to be back and be live. We will have throughout the day various members of the Free Assange Vigil community at various protests, and we will be covering the crap out of this.
Cool.